They're
sucking out their happiness. They're sucking
the
out
wokies are around me.
Stop address their emotions in a positive way is literally participation trophies not being there.
Advantage is so annoying. Look,
have you been on your own show?
Parker.
You interrupted me the whole time, and now you're just getting the same thing.
So me telling you that you are spreading misinformation, that is not fascism. That is just me telling you you're wrong.
But you're not telling me I'm wrong because I'm right. Hi, I'm Piers Morgan, and I'm the host of Piers Morgan Uncensored on YouTube. I'm also the author of a new book, Woke is Dead, and today I'm surrounded by 20, apparently still alive, woke liberals.
Sad and angry, tell them to place the blame on women and minorities so that they get their pockets filled.
But here's the thing.
They monetize
Am I allowed to get a
insecurities
word
and
in?
trauma. You can have your facial reactions.
Time out.
Go ahead.
Politely.
Go ahead.
I think what you're talking about is misogyny. There's already a word for that. It's not toxic masculinity. That's the point of my argument. I don't think masculinity has ever been toxic. I do think some men are horrible misogynists
But do you think
and should
some
be
of them
called
hide
out,
behind
as
it?
I call them out.
Don't you think some men hide behind their masculinity? Like, I'm sick of hearing men say, we have to protect and provide.
Why shouldn't we?
Well, no. But the thing is half of you, what are you going to protect me from? Another man. And half of them can't hunt down a job. Like,
Other women.
Or other women, sure, yeah, other people. But that's the thing I'm saying is that men, I don't understand why, I feel like a lot of blame gets placed on women for all of this, but in reality, you've done it to each other.
I don't blame women for
You've done it to each other.
I don't blame women for any of this. I think well, actually, that's not completely true. I blame some women who have deliberately, in my opinion, like a lot of men have done too, taken the word masculinity and they have traduced it into meaning something it was never intended to mean. Like I said, those words which the American Psychological Association have deemed unacceptable and should be discarded, are all the absolute foundation of what I believe it takes to be a man.
Oh, damn it. I wanted
just when we were getting to know each other.
Pick me for the last 10. I got a lot to say.
I'll think about it. How are you?
Good to see you.
What's your name?
Parker.
Parker, I'm Piers.
I've been on your show, bro.
Yes, I thought I recognized you. When was that?
After the Jordan Peterson Jubilee debate.
Yes, that's right, you did.
He has quoted us as gaytheists on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. How'd you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I think it was ridiculous. I'm literally straight, but...
Oh, you're straight?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then I can understand why you'd find that annoying.
Oh, I don't find it annoying. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to use that as an argument. But in
I
general...
will not call you a gaytheist.
Okay, in general, the point that I would make here is that toxic masculinity is kind of an overexpression of certain masculine traits that we see in this certain context to be harmful. We're not saying all masculine traits are harmful or it's harmful to be a masculine man. It's certain characteristics that we would associate with masculinity.
Which trait do you think is harmful?
Yeah, like, for example, an overexpression of stoicism. And I think that a lot of red pill people...
What?
Wait, hold up, let me explain. I said an overexpression of stoicism.
How can stoicism ever...
Be overexpressed?
Ever be a bad thing? Explain to me.
Yeah, so again, if you were to specifically hide your feelings and put them underneath, specifically for, like, say, the death of a loved one, I don't think that would be harmful, or I mean positive specifically for you addressing your feelings in that circumstance. I think you should address those feelings, talk about them, express them to loved ones and people that are comfortable, you're comfortable around.
That doesn't mean you can't still be stoic.
Well, then what do you mean by stoicism? Because I'm talking about an overexpression of keeping down your emotions and not expressing them.
That's not
like,
what stoicism...
actively, positively addressing them.
Stoicism doesn't mean you have to be a sort of unemotional, Spock from Star Trek. Think that if you look at the woke world generally, there seems to be a premium on over-emoting and not enough of a premium, in my view, of stiff upper lip, pull yourself together and crack on. Because let me tell you, there are two things you want to worry about in life, really worry about. I say this to my kids: dying and getting a terminal illness. Outside of those two things, everything is surmountable. You can overcome anything.
What about if your partner cheats on you?
But what you've got, like, even that.
Okay, so there are plenty of examples we can give where people are going to have, like, legitimate circumstances to cry or be sad. But like, I'm asking you, like, in the circumstance, give us specific what you're referencing in terms of these woke liberals of how they're being too overly emotional.
Well, you're talking to me about why you want people to be more emotional. I'm telling you, I don't think that's necessarily
I want them to express it in
thing.
Positive manners, like go to therapy, like how I told you.
Yeah, but I think we're over-therapied. Everyone I know over here goes to therapy.
You haven't gone to therapy at all. How are you over-therapy?
Why don't you come and talk to me if you want to talk to somebody? I'll soon sort you out.
Wait, I can talk to my therapist and we can actually engage in positive reconstruction of how I address things. Yes, actually, it's been very helpful for my mental health and my emotional health to be able to talk them through, to be able to, like, what can I do to, like, make myself feel better in these circumstances? Am I being genuinely, like, real here? Like, or am I being a little bit too overly emotional in circumstances? It's totally a question I ask my therapist all the time. Yeah, so if you want to talk about being overly emotional, how to address being overly emotional, how about you just start with therapy? What's your solution? What's your solution?
Calm down.
I'm calm. I'm totally calm.
Wait,
do you think me talking fast is not being, like, calm?
Just that you don't want me to get a word in. right? And
I wanted to finish my statement.
Right, I just think people go to therapy too much. Sorry, I do. You may not like to hear it, because I just think going and talking to some stranger about all your problems all the time, get a grip.
It's not all the time. It's every once in a while you go and talk about your problems specifically so you can address them. Do you not talk about your problems ever with anyone?
I look at Parker.
This is the problem I talked about.
Stop talking. I look at you and I see somebody who's confident, you're a good talker, you're obviously intelligent, you've obviously got a lot going for you. Stop spending all this money going to see some stranger to go over everything in agonizing detail.
It's not that much money to be able to go every once in a while to go see a therapist for me specifically in my life.
I've never been to one in my life.
It's not much money for you. You could easily go with the money that you make and go talk to a therapist.
I've no need to go to a therapist.
I understand you don't want to. Everyone says that specifically before going into it. I said the same thing. But I'm telling you, you can actually address your emotions in a positive way.
Parker, here's what I'd rather do. I would rather, honestly, have groups of people like you in the woke world, right, who clearly are struggling with regular life, right?
I'm not struggling with regular life.
Everything's a calamity. Everything's a problem. Has to be overanalyzed, over-dissected, over-therapized. And I just think you've all got to be given the mental tools to deal with ordinary life. Ordinary life.
We already have them. I actually have gone to therapy to do that.
Ordinary
life. You?
Yeah, but without going to therapy all the time.
Wait, what's your solution? What's your solution?
I think at school and colleges, we need to reinforce, this comes back to masculinity with men, we need to reinforce the mental tools required for life.
Such as?
Well, I can tell you when I can chart the absolute descent of this in the wrong way. And I think it began in America, when you started giving kids participation prizes for coming last at sport. Absolute shambles. I mean, whoever thought of that?
How does this have to do with actually men making their emotions better off?
I'm explaining.
It's participation trophies. Oh my gosh.
I'm explaining because if young people are conditioned to think that if you come last at something, you get a prize, it is the worst possible preparation for the real world.
So what's the actual solution? Parker, you're just telling a problem again. Problem. What's the solution?
Parker, if I could finish my sentence.
Start with the solution.
The solution is you just stop talking for a moment, right?
How about you actually provide a solution? All you've done is bring about problems.
Parker, I've just given you a solution. I want
That's not a solution. That's a problem.
Yes, you stop participation prizes. You condition kids to deal with the real world when they become adults.
Otherwise, when they men not having the ability to address their emotions in a positive way is literally participation trophies not being there.
Jordan Peterson advantage is so annoying. Look,
have you been on your own show?
Parker.
You interrupted me the whole time, and now you're just getting the same thing.
Well, because you never stop talking.
Don't be mad. Don't be mad.
Parker,
are you mad?
No, I'm trying to finish my sentence.
It's okay.
Parker. Come on, calm down. You're shaking.
I'm totally calm.
Parker.
I'm not shaking at all.
Parker, you're shaking.
I'm not shaking. Why do you have to act like why do you have to say something delusional to try to deflect away from the fact that you haven't addressed anything meaningful here?
Christ, Parker. My point is, there's a brilliant book by Jonathan Haidt about do not care about those other issues is deluded.
But this is why I chose the prompt that I did, because I know that when I get upset about something, it clouds out a lot of other things that I should be thinking about, but I get so focused on the thing I'm angry about. This is why woke politics has become such a useful canard for people of all political persuasions, because it does get people worked up, because it does speak to basic issues of identity and belonging and meaning. And when you undermine that, people do get really upset. And what that does is it takes away their emotional and intellectual bandwidth from the things that would materially improve their lives. And that is why I think that this whole conversation, not that it's not important, but it should not be crowding out, as it is in our public discourse, all the other issues that are so much more important. That's why you saw, I know you don't agree with Mamdani in New York, Mamdani did not run a campaign on woke politics. He aimed it squarely at cost of living, affordability issues, and he won more votes than anybody in New York City in the last 60 years.
Hang on. He also promised, like all good socialists, he's going to give everyone everything for free. And let me tell you what's
I'll tell you what, buses are free for most people in New York already.
Actually, my real point is, if you want to brand everybody fascist, you can't behave like fascists yourself.
But the key difference is fascism uses the power of the state to impose their opinions.
So does the woke left.
Wokeism does not.
Oh, it does.
Was anybody deported for being woke during the Biden administration?
Here's my answer.
Does anybody get rounded up in the streets for their opinion? Did anybody get canceled because the FCC said you're being too woke? No, that doesn't happen.
Can I answer?
Of course.
Of course. Actually, the woke left have deployed the power of the state many times. Look at the pandemic. Look at the pandemic.
How is that wokeism?
I'll tell you how it's wokeism.
Wait, so diseases are woke now?
No. Wokeism is where you take things which are not actually science-based, for example, the efficacy of masks. Right? And by the way, I feel guilty of this myself. I'm not saying I'm whiter than white about this.
So masks are woke?
No, they can be. The woke mentality. I'll explain why. When a government says that if you're seen without a mask during a pandemic, you can be fined or punished.
Pierce, you're way too smart to believe this.
Wait a minute. I'm giving you the argument which I ended up accepting, right? Which is in a fast-moving pandemic, when the scientific advice changes so rapidly, I fell victim to this myself. I was very censorious of people. But you can't deny that the state had a mindset of you will conform or we will punish you. And it turned out they were making people...
That's simply not true.
It is true.
You may have felt uncomfortable being unmasked in public because people would say, hey, be courteous of other people.
I didn't.
Nobody got fired.
I didn't.
Nobody lost their job. Nobody got exiled.
People did get fired and did lose their jobs.
All that stuff got overturned.
No,
because we are a nation of laws.
People did get fired. They all lost their jobs for not wearing a mask. They were told they couldn't come to work.
Who?
Thousands of people.
Okay, so these nebulous people lost their job.
Nick, to be clear, you don't think anybody lost their job in the pandemic for refusing to wear a mask or refusing to be vaccinated?
I think that people who were in public-facing situations where they could have easily taken a scientifically proven preemptive measure.
It wasn't proven.
Yes, it was.
No, it turned out not to be proven. That's my point. And yet the state, driven by a left-wing Democrat president,
so me telling you that you are spreading misinformation, that is not fascism. That is just me telling you you're wrong.
You're not telling me I'm wrong because I'm right.
Okay, no, you're just not. And we're not going to relitigate COVID. That's now years ago at this point. The key point is it fascism? It is not fascism. You gave your very long definition of liberalism. Wokeism is about everything on that list that you described as being liberal.
Really?
It's about standing up for other perspectives.
You think
it's about listening to other people that have not traditionally been listened to.
Oh, you don't listen to anybody.
Yes,
what are you talking
do.
about? Of course you don't.
You said yourself, wokeism started about just acknowledging social problems. I think it's woke
that
originally, middle America's jobs have been shipped overseas. That's woke to recognize that there's larger social problems.
I don't dispute.
Police brutality, recognizing that there's a problem with the institution of policing. That's woke. It's not fascist.
Would you defund the police?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, well, that's woke.
Not defunding the police is woke?
Calling for the police to be defunded is one of the worst things the woke, including Mamdani in New York. This is like, the new mayor of New York City called for the...
Your first prompt was toxic masculinity has always meant one thing. Now you're saying woke used to mean one thing, but now it means a different thing. So words only have one definition when they suit you.
No.
But when they don't suit you, they change and they can fluctuate.
Obviously, you said that wokeism is a form of liberalism, right? You said that.
Yes.
Everything I read.
Wokeism is a form of liberalism.
And yet, just to remind you, a person who is willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own. The woke left famously, I would say infamously, never accept anybody objecting to anything they say.
We confront bad speech with better speech.
You confront bad speech with better speech. No, you don't.
Like denying the efficacy of vaccines, and I'm telling you that's wrong.
No, I disagree.
I'm not saying you should be canceled or you should be imprisoned for that.
Actually, if you want my honest view, I do not think the efficacy of masks was ever proven. In fact, I think most of the evidence now suggests they were pretty pointless. Secondly, on vaccines, I think they saved millions of lives, but I do think it was completely misleading of the government here and the government in the UK and other countries when they stated as a scientific fact that if you had the vaccine, you couldn't transmit the virus.
The measure was whether the healthcare system would be overwhelmed.
Wait a minute.
The healthcare system did not collapse. It worked. That was all it was supposed to be. It wasn't that no one would ever get sick
I'm making the point that when you issue government mandates and it turns out you were wrong, for example, when they said you cannot transmit the virus if you have the vaccine, it turned out that wasn't true. Do you accept that?
I do accept that.
So there were lots of things they said which turned out to be wrong. So
I would rather err on the side of caution with a disease that killed millions of people around the world. That's just me.
Hey, Nick. As I did. And in fact, I was very censorious to people who took the position I'm now taking against you.
Again, it's not being censorious. We're having this debate in a public forum. I'm not saying you're not allowed to speak about this. I'm just going to tell you you're wrong.
I'm making the point that I was wrong at the time about those particular parts of it. We can agree that the vaccines broadly, I think, worked. But we can also agree the scientists got it wrong about masks. They got it wrong about the efficacy of transmission with vaccines. These are things we should be able to come together on.
Totally. But you said he should be attacking people like Xi Jinping because he does way more human rights violations.
Yeah.
But that applies here. Trump and the right do way more than the left. You said that in your own book. But right now you're contradicting yourself again.
I think both sides are capable
but
of rank
who's worse?
hypocrisy.
Who's worse?
I actually think, on balance, over the last 5 years, the woke left have been more suppressive of free speech.
Really?
Yes. Let me give you an example.
Okay. But you take like 15 minutes to give an example and we have 14 minutes.
We haven't stopped talking.
That's true.
All right?
You know what? Pierce, I had a great time.
Hey, that was good.
Yeah. I like the book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How's it going, Piers?
How are you?
Good to meet you.
Good to see you.
My name's Dash.
Good to see you.
Piers, standing off against the liberals. This is really something.
Well, I am a liberal.
Your thoughts and beliefs in private, I would assume, more aligned with ours, but I understand getting. I understand getting that bag.
Well,
so
I don't know your thoughts.
I'll save you the trouble. I'll do it for you.
Okay.
Piers Morgan's new book, Woke is Dead, is out now. It's great.
Thank you.
I also read it cover to cover.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to take that off your shoulders.
Thank you.
But let's get into it. So I'm just curious, someone who doesn't have any kind of a relationship with accountability, would you agree that everything comes across to them as cancel culture?
No, I don't believe that speech comes without accountability.
Okay.
But I do believe we had a frenzied atmosphere in the last few years, driven predominantly by the woke left, of cancelling anybody that didn't sign up to their worldview, which I thought was very insidious. I called it out while it was happening. I've called it out since. I've now written a book about it all, saying we cannot go back to that. It doesn't mean the right aren't capable of doing similar stuff and being hypocrites. They are. But it also means that if you look at it in totality, I think this cancel culture mentality has been really damaging. And I think the war on free speech has been really damaging.
Okay, well, let's put this on a spectrum, because I think we use this term cancel culture and everybody's been canceled by the left. I don't have any actual evidence of what you're talking about. So let's say accountability is on this side, which is you facing consequences for your actions.
Let me give an example.
And on this side of the spectrum, it is facing consequences for something that is not justified.
Let me give an example.
So now let's start to place it in that spectrum.
Let me give you a specific example.
Because the people you carry water for on the right tend to be over here, where they don't take accountability for anything and instead feel like they're being canceled.
Wait a minute.
Although it's just consequences for your basic actions.
Do you ever watch my show?
I do.
And you really think I carry water for the right?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes. There's a statistic that you defend Republicans more than anybody else.
No, I don't. I just attack the woke left more than anybody else.
Okay.
Correct. But it's friendly fire. I come at you as one of your own, only I didn't go mad.
I appreciate you admitting that.
I didn't go mad, right? I didn't go mad, woke, bonkers. I stayed old-fashioned liberal, with liberal values, wanting free speech at the cornerstone of it. And let me give an example.
But Piers, I read your book. That's not the case.
Let me give
you spent most of the book with Trump's cock in your mouth.
If you read sorry?
You spent most of the book with Trump sucking him off.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. The prologue was The Dawn Rises, D-O-N.
The prologue, actually, if you read it, and I don't think you did, because you just revealed you probably haven't. The prologue actually starts with two conversations I had with him. One positive and one extremely negative.
Yes.
Which ends up with him saying, Piers Morgan's so dead, he's catching flies.
Right.
I'm not sure you've read the book, have you?
I have read the book.
Then you wouldn't say that I bleep.
No, because that was you meeting him at Mar-a-Lago, trying to win favor back because he was becoming the presumptive nominee, so you needed to get back onto his side.
Yes, but look.
After spending years being a critic of his, then you needed to win favor back when he was coming into power.
I've never spent years as a critic of Trump. I've spent years. I've known Donald Trump nearly 20 years. He's been a politician for the last 10 years of that period. In that time, for example, I used to write columns for the Daily Mail in America. I calculated after his first term in office, I wrote about 120 columns about Trump. You can go and check it.
Okay.
And about half were negative and half were positive. I do think in Trump's first term, if people had been fairer to give him credit where he deserved it and criticized him when he deserved it, everyone would have been a lot better off. I feel it now. The Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing, and it's honestly...
I wear that badge proudly.
I know, but it's kind of pathetic. It's like when I hear people say, he's the new Hitler. Really? Hitler murdered 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. You think Donald Trump is the new Hitler? You're a fucking idiot.
Okay, right? If we're going to talk about hyperbole, here we have focused half of the discussion today on trans issues, but we're not going to talk about things like, I don't know, Trump is in the Epstein files and he's using the government to cover it up. Should we talk about that?
Sure.
That affects a lot of people.
Let's talk about
How about him denying the 2020 election and eroding the public's trust in our institutions and processes?
Ask me.
That affects everybody.
Okay.
So let's try not deflecting to the trans athletes conversation.
You've just brought up two more issues. I'm happy to talk about them.
We'll see if you deflect. Go on.
Well, go on. You want to ask me about them? Go on.
Okay, well, I'm saying let's focus on the issues that affect lots of people, not deflect into the culture war issues that affect very few people in the grand scheme of things.
Well, let's be clear. The number of people directly affected by the Epstein scandal is probably 2,000.
No, what the President of the United States covering up a pedophilia scandal affects everybody.
If that's what he's doing.
Well, common sense. You're a champion of common sense.
Well, I can tell you that I've spoken to Virginia Giuffre's lawyer multiple times, David Boyce. He's seen the files. He does not believe there's anything against Trump in those files. Well, okay.
What happened to common sense, Piers?
Well, actually, I prefer to come up to me in the streets in London, and she said, Mr. Morgan, do you mind if I just say something about these wokies? I went, sure. She said, they just want to suck all the joy out of life. And I went, God, you're so right. That's exactly what they do.
What is the joy that you're sucking out?
You are
Stopping saying slurs is sucking out the joy of life? You want to say slurs that bad?
I don't want to say slurs.
Well, that's like...
But you are collectively the most joyless group of people to ever walk on
I'm pretty
God's
joyful.
earth.
I'm smiling. I came in cracking jokes.
My advice is...
I could get a beer with you.
My advice for all of you is...
I think you need to relax a little bit.
Collectively, a bit of... I know you love a bit of Zen. Zen, calm down, take a chill pill, right? See the funny side of life.
I'm pretty chill.
Respect other people's opinions. Respect my right to have different opinions.
I think that you've dressed this like nightmare scenario around you, and then you start cowering. No, then you start cowering at the own demons that you set up. It's funny that like are the wokies
cowering?
Are the wokies
cowering in this room?
You're saying they're the joyless
people. I've come
people.
sat in the middle of 20 hardcore.
They are joyless. They're ruining the joy of life.
Cowering?
They're sucking out the happiness. They're sucking out the happiness of society.
Me.
That's the idea.
I don't cower.
You're saying the happiness is being sucked out by woke people.
I think you're just a joyless bunch. You should lighten up a bit.
That's an insane overgeneralization. That's how I feel about British people, but good